Welcome to the fundamentals. In today's topic, we'll be talking about creating relationships. In creating a relationship, we are simply putting together a network logical diagram. A network logic diagram is a logical representation of all the activities in a project and their logical relationships, otherwise called dependent. What you're seeing right now is just a typical example of a simple project. It is simply listing all the activities that needs to be done for the project to be completed. Starting from activity A, then goes to activity B. From there, it's going to go to activity C and D. And after the completion of both, it's going to go to activity E, which is the last activity in this simple project. In order to talk about creating relationships, we need to discuss briefly about the precedence diagramming method, which is the PDM. The precedence diagramming method, PDM, is a technique for creating network logic diagrams. In other words, we are making use of the relationship with the predecessor, which controls the start or finish of another activity. We can as well make use of the successor, which depends on the start or finish of another activity. However, we need to know also that in projects, we have activities that has open end. But that simply means that activities with open end are activities that do not have either a predecessor or successor. And in the typical project, you're going to have at least an activity that doesn't have a predecessor, and activity that also doesn't have a successor. Now, let's discuss about the relationship types. There are 4 relationship types in both PCs and Microsoft projects. First, we have the finish to start, which is also the default relationship when you try to link activities. Then we have the start to start, which has the acronym SS. Then we have the finish to finish with the acronym FF. The last but not the least of these relationship types is the start to finish with an acronym SF. All these activities can also be related to one another with what we call a lag. A lag simply specifies an offset or delay between an activity and its successor. And a lag can be added to any type of relationship, and it can also be either positive or negative in value. Now, in continuation of the project that we'll be building, that we'll be working on, which is the mega apartment project, in the last class, we added the activities under each WBS. Even though we did just 2 of them in the demonstration aspect, it is expected of everyone to go home and add the remaining activities as instructed. With that in mind, we're going to go on round to link them together as far as relationship is concerned. What I have on the screen now is the template in which we'll be using to build this project since we started this series. At this point, from this column E all the way to column G, these are the information that pertain to the predecessors. In other words, the first activity, which is MS001 project start, does not have a predecessor, which is what we discussed about not too long ago, that in a typical project, you will have an activity that does not have a predecessor and one that does not have a successor. And those activities, we call them activities with open end. So the first activity, which is project start, is one of such. Then going down the list, we're going to have each other activities having their predecessor name and also their activity ID of the predecessor. In other words, the kickoff meeting has the predecessor of project start and also have the ID number of MS01. So same thing also applies to the second one going down the list. Now, let it be noted that there are some activities that have more than one predecessors. So what that means is that you're going to add the number of predecessors that are assigned to them. Okay. Now, there are some activities that gives you more notes other than just listing them. For example, the commission has completion of finishing with a 10 days lag. That is, it's going to be finished to start with 10 days. So when we get there, we're going to address it. With that in mind, let's now proceed to the demonstration. Now I have my PCs open already and still working on the project, the same mega apartment project. I'm going to open it up so that we can start the demonstration. I've entered in all the activities that belongs to each of the WBSs and sub-WBSs as instructed. Now it's time to now start the linking. In order for me to link, I want to make sure that my detail part is open. And I want to bring in the tab that says relationship. Right now, it's not here because it's not in by default. So I'm going to right click on this side, go to customize activities, details. Now I have the activity details dialog box pull up. I will just click on default on this side so that it's going to give me more options. Now I click on apply and OK. Now the relationship types, which is going to be among the tab, is here. So this is what I want to display, and I have it the way I want it. Now, in order to start applying or linking the relationship to this project, first, according to our notes, the second activity, which is kickoff meeting, is telling us that the activity has a predecessor of project start, and that is the ID number. So I will select the kickoff meeting. Then under my details, while I'm in the relationship tab, I'm going to click on the Assign button right here on the relationship side, which is the predecessor side this time around. Click on that. It's going to open up the Assign predecessor dialog box for me. Let me expand this a little bit more so that I can see a lot better. So now the predecessor for the kickoff meeting is project start. So I will either double click on the project start from here, or simply select it and then I will click on the Assign button. Either way we do it for you, but I love the double clicking better. That's what I'm going to do. When you click on double click, you are going to have the project start added as a predecessor to the kickoff meeting. And if you notice on your Gantt chart, you're going to see like a dotted line showing the linking. So that means it has been linked together. So at this point, I'm going to close the dialog box for now. Now in pieces, whenever you make any of such adjustments, you need to run your schedule before you can actually see the effect of it. So to run your schedule, you go to the two bars at the top, and somewhere around here in the middle, you're going to see this icon for schedule. And you click on it, then it's going to ask you want to schedule this schedule. You want to run this schedule. So don't worry about the date for now. Let's just keep it the way it is and let's run the schedule. So with that, you're going to see that the lining that connect those two activities together is there, showing you that it has been linked together. And of course, you already have it here also on the details side. So that is how you link activity. So let's click some more, and then we're going to have the rest as our homework. So the next one to be linked is completion of design and engineering. According to our notes, the predecessor for that is final approval, and the ID is A1040. So I will select the completion for design and engineering. Then I will click on the Assign button on the predecessor side to pull up the dialog box for me. Then I will look for the final approval, which is A1040, and link it. So I will double click, and now that is done. I don't have to continue to close the dialog box every time before I add the next one. I can simply go ahead and add the next one, and then the next one, and as many as I wish. Okay, which is what I'm going to do now. I will add the next one, procurement, and the predecessor is stairs and elevator materials, which has an ID number of A1090. So A1090 for completion of procurement, add that. So with that exercise, I'm going to continue to add until I finish linking all the activities together. So for this demonstration, I'm going to add the remainder of these activities in the milestones WBS, and then you can do the rest as your own work as usual. At this point, I want to link the completion of mechanical and electrical system to its assigned predecessors. So in this case, there are two of them, which is test and balance equipment alongside with connect equipment. So I'll select my completion of mechanical/electrical system, and then I will add test and balance equipment. I had the first one, and then I'll also add this one, connect equipment. I add both of them. Now that is completed. Then I'll go to completion of finishing, which also have two predecessors, and I will add them as instructed. Now, to add the commission with its own predecessor, the predecessor for completion is completion of finishing. It also have a 10 days lag. So at this point, first I will add completion of finishing as a predecessor. Now at the bottom where the predecessor is, this is where I'm going to add the lag. By default, it's always going to be finish to start. So if I need to change the relationship to something else, I will come here and click and pick up the options available. But since the relationship still remains finish to start, I don't need to do anything on this part. All I need to do is put in the appropriate lag, which also by default is going to be 0. But because we are told it's going to have a lag of 10 days, so I will come in here and then I will type 10 days. At this point, I will just close this dialog box and then I will just run my schedule again, just for the fun of it. You can now see that there are movements along the Gantt chart. As you can see that we are making progress in linking the relationship. This is where I'm going to stop for the purpose of this demonstration. So I expect us to go back home and complete the rest of the linking, which is from the next WBS design building activity all the way down as given to us in our notes. I hope this has been useful and helpful to you. If so, I see you in the next class. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for being part of this teaching. We hope this video has been very helpful to you. Just a reminder that this is one of the videos in this series and all the videos are available on this YouTube channel. Please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section. If you find this video helpful and you're yet to subscribe to our channel, kindly do so by clicking on the subscription button to afford yourself easy access to more videos that are constantly being loaded for the purpose of enhancing your careers. Are you interested in taking the full course for this training? Please visit our website at www.greenlandfoundations.com. You can reach us via email info@greenlandfoundations.com or glandfoundations@gmail.com, as well as communicate with us via phone, text messages, or WhatsApp at area code 281-772-0211. We have live online and remote classes for the following: Primavera P6, Microsoft Project, Microsoft Office Tools, Project Management Professionals, Basic Computer Training, and many more.